and welcome to Stand With Us on JLTV. I'm your host, Roz Rothstein. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Stand With Us. And here today we have MuhammadZoabi, an Israeli Arab, who is going to tell us why and how things have led up in his life so that he is a Zionist and supports the state of Israel as an Arab Israeli. So, Mohammed, tell us a little bit about your background, your upbringing, just take us from the beginning.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. I'm very happy to be here. So, I grew up in Nazareth, Nazareth is one of the, multicultural cities in northern Israel. It's a city mixed of, Jews, Muslims, and Christians, living side by side together. And growing up in that environment, I was exposed to different peoples, different cultures, and the Israeli identity that I was, that I grew up on was multiculturalism, diversity, coexistence, and that, growing up with this, that was, an important part of my life. And also, back in 2006, when the Israel-Lebanon war was going on, I was, I believe, 10 at the time, and at many times we, when the sirens would go off, when rockets were coming at us from Lebanon, we would, all of us, Muslims and Christians and Jews and many other people would run together to the bomb shelters. And I remember being a kid, I would ask my mom, why are we being all attacked? And she said that for a lot of our haters, we're one nation, we're all together, we're all their enemy. And I remember that moment being a sort of a key moment in my, in the importance of bringing, the true Israel story to as many people as possible.
But you went to school with a lot of Arab and Jewish friends, or just Arab friends?
Well, at the beginning, I got mainly Arab education, Arabic-speaking education, which is very also important to highlight that in Israel there's a total system for Arab citizens of Israel, educational system for those who would want to, study more about Arab culture and to study in Arabic. Eventually, I ended up in a mixed school, a Hebrew-speaking school, where, again, Arabs, Jews, Christians, and many others would study.
How old were you at that time that you switched?
I was at the 8th grade when I decided to switch schools.
You could make that choice?
Absolutely.
It's an option.
It's an option. That's also important to highlight. Many anti-Israel people claim that Israel actually segregates between its populations. That is completely false. You get the option to choose what kind of education you'd like to get.
Wow.
You can choose
That's really a very important distinction.
Absolutely. You can choose secular studies, school studies. You can choose religious. You can choose mixed, and you can choose Arab. And specifically the Arabic educational system is in Arabic, and it's there to ensure that those Israeli Arabs who'd like to preserve their culture, identity, and language can do so from a very young age. So that's very important to highlight, absolutely.
Very important. So I hope that everybody's taking this point very seriously, because you can have a better conversation with your friends about this one specific issue even.
Absolutely.
So take us forward then. You made the choice. You're now with friends that are Jewish, Arab, Christian. You're in a mixed, and this is still in Nazareth?
Yes.
Yes. And so then what? So is there an assumption in your mind that, I'm an Israeli citizen, I feel like I'm part of this fabric, I don't feel like, I'm anti-Israel?
Listen, I come from a family that has been contributing to the country since the beginning of the state. So, though we have people who also are a bit different, inside the family. So it was very natural to me to think of ways I can. Living the way having the lifestyle I had of, again, multiculturalism and diversity did not even I didn't even have the time to think about what I'm doing or the lifestyle I have. It was just all natural, being being Israeli means being multicultural and being being diverse and having friends of different backgrounds.
So
and
that was a given for you.
It was just it was part of my growing up. It was part of my culture. It was part of my identity. Nowadays, of course, I have friends from Israel, friends who are Jewish, Arab, Christian, Druze, whatever, and I also have friends from all over the place. In fact, I'm studying in a mechina right now. Mechina is a pre-army college in Israel with both Israeli and American students who have come to Israel to study. So I can brag sometimes about having a multicultural lifestyle where I just want to get to know every possible friend or people.
So you're an open-minded guy.
I hope so.
So being open-minded, I just want to note that if you look up MuhammadZoabi, you probably find yourself on Google, right?
Yep.
Yeah, you've been pretty vocal. He's been pretty out there with, I think the first time I ever saw you and your face was there you were with an Israeli flag and talking about how you appreciate Israel. And I was thinking to myself, wow, I'm worried about you. I was worried. I thought you're young and there you are with an Israeli flag, and is that dangerous for you? That's what I thought when I saw the picture. Was it?
Well, the video that you saw was a video that happened in 2014 when the 3 kids were kidnapped.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it didn't really matter whether it would be actually dangerous or not, and it actually was to some extent.
So we're going to come back and talk about what happened in 2014 and how that really was dangerous, because there's a story there. So don't leave. We'll be right back after this short break.
For those terrorists who have kidnapped our kids, לאלו הטרוריסטים שחטפו את הילדים שלנו, ללإרهابية اللي خطفوا أولادنا, bring them back. And you better bring them back now. תחזירו אותם, ועדיף לכם להחזיר אותם עכשיו. רجعوهن, وأحسن لكم ترجعون إسا.
Welcome back to Stand With Us on JLTV. I'm Roz Rothstein, and we are here with a very fascinating young man, MuhammadZoabi, who is really very vocal about his support for the State of Israel. And I want to take you back to 2014. If you Google him, you will see this. In 2014, you came out and made a video that became an issue for you. First of all, tell us what you said in the video.
For those terrorists who have kidnapped our kids, לאלו הטרוריסטים שחטפו את הילדים שלנו, ללإرهابية اللي خطفوا أولادنا, bring them back. And you better bring them back now. תחזירו אותם, ועדיף לכם להחזיר אותם עכשיו. רجعوهن, وأحسن لكم ترجعون إسا. To Bibi, our Prime Minister, and his government, לביבי, ראש הממשלה שלנו, ולכל הממשלה שלו, לביבי, رئيس وزرائنا, وحكومته, wake up, تتعوروا, اصحى, and stop cooperating with terrorists, ותפסיק לשתף פעולה עם מחבלים וטרוריסטים. وبطل انك تتعاون مع إرهابية ومخربين. The Palestinian Authority is the biggest terrorist. السلطة الفلسطينية هي أكبر إرهابية. הרשות הפלסטינאית הם הטרוריסטים הכי גדולים. שלשום הנערים האלו נחטפו. Yesterday or 2 days ago, These Israeli kids were kidnapped. أول امبارح هدول الشباب انخطفوا. Tomorrow it could be me, you, or any others Israeli. מחר זה יכול להיות אני, אתה, או כל ישראלי אחר. בוקرة ممكن يكون هذا أنا اللي راح نخطف أو أنتي أو أي إسرائيلي تاني عربي ولا يهودي. Our enemies don't separate between Arabs and Jews living in Israel. האויבים שלנו לא מפרידים בין ערבים ויהודים שחיים בישראל. أعدائنا ما بيميزوش بين عربي ويهودي عايشين في إسرائيل. For them we are all one. For them we are all Israelis. בשבילם אנחנו كلنا אחד. אנחנו كلنا يسرائيليين. بالنسبة لإلهن إحنا كلنا واحد. إحنا كلنا إسرائيلي. And you know what? I am proud about that. I'm an Israeli and I will remain an Israeli. ואתם יודעים מה? אני גאה בזה. אני ישראלי ואני شاعر يسرائيلي. وأنا فخور بهذا الإشي إنه هن بيعتبروني نحن إسرائيلي لأنه أنا إسرائيلي وأنا رح أضل إسرائيلي. And again, you better bring them back. عديف لكم להחזיר אותם. أحسن لكم إنه ترجعوهن. Israel is here to exist as a Jewish and as a democratic country. ישראל פה להישאר כמדינה יהודית דמוקרטית. إسرائيل انوجدت عشان تضل كدولة يهودية ديمقراطية. عم إسرائيل خاي يحيى شعب إسرائيل.
So the video came as a result of the kidnapping of Eyal, Gilad, and Naftali, 3 young Israelis, teenagers, almost my age, that were kidnapped by Palestinian terrorists. The video that I uploaded was basically a video in which I spoke in English, Arabic, and Hebrew about, against the kidnapping and also about the importance of us remembering, no matter how angry we are or no matter how divided we might be in our conflicts and differences, that children should not be harmed. The video went viral. I did not even give that a second of thought when I uploaded the video. I actually uploaded it on my personal Facebook page, and I thought that few of my friends will see it. And it was actually part of the Bring Back Our Boys campaign that actually Stand With Us started, and eventually the video went viral for good and for bad. And the negative side of the video going viral was that I got a lot of threats and hate speech that eventually led me, led the authorities to recommend me to leave my house at the beginning in Nazareth.
The Israeli authorities,
of course, yeah,
said you're in trouble. You better leave for a while, or
yes, leave my house for a while. That's what I did. I eventually ended up taking refuge at Kay Wilson's house. Just to give a brief background about Kay. Kay is she's a survivor of Palestinian terrorism as well. She was stabbed 13 times in the Jerusalem forest.
With a machete.
With a machete, and her American friend that was touring with her was murdered in front of her eyes. So I think it's pretty beautiful that the last words Kay heard were Allahu Akbar, the same words that my mom says when she prays every day. And Allahu Akbar means God is great, and it's very sad to see how people use it in such evil and horrific ways. But it's also very interesting and very heartwarming to see that she comes to my help. She comes to basically help me.
So she hid you.
Yes, she did.
She hid you.
She did during the war with Gaza. It was a crazy time back then in Israel. Rockets were coming down at us from everywhere. It was just crazy. And
thank God for Iron Dome.
Thank God for Iron Dome. Eventually, things kept escalating. When
you remember, Iron Dome stopped the rockets even in Tel Aviv.
Absolutely, in Tel Aviv,
they stopped
in
the rockets in midair, and
absolutely.
Thank
Unfortunately,
God.
we didn't have that in the 2006 war with Lebanon. But in the 2014 conflict with Gaza, that actually prevented a lot of human casualties. They wonder why there are not a lot of Israeli casualties in times of war, and the answer is because the government of Israel cares for its citizens, while the government of Hamas or other governments care more for their weapons, and they make sure to protect their weapons using their civilians, and Israel does the complete opposite.
Well, I want to interrupt you because it's a very important point. They actually want casualties.
Of course,
they put their people in harm's way.
That's exactly true.
As human shields, and then they're able to say, "Look what Israel did." So they'll push the people. They'll plant things in hospitals and playgrounds and schools and
even
UN
private
schools,
homes.
private homes. They won't let people leave when Israel drops the flyers. They won't let people leave the area and go south and. So that there's casualties that they can talk about.
Absolutely.
It's just pretty sick. I mean, that is pretty sick stuff.
Absolutely.
That's a real contrast with the two.
It's part of Hamas's policy for them. When they have more casualties, which Israel tries to prevent, anyways, whether Hamas allows Palestinian civilians to flee or not, Israel always tries to, avoid causing human casualties. But for Hamas, a terrorist organization, that in its very charter it says that it wants to destroy Israel, they want to do anything to cause more human casualties on their side, so they can bash Israel. And that's exactly what they have been doing. And unfortunately, many people around the world have been, falling for this lie.
Let's go back to now you're at Kay's house. Kay Wilson is hiding you. How long did you stay there?
So I stayed with Kay for about a month. And again, until things kept escalating more, and eventually I was recommended to leave the country entirely.
Wow.
That's when I ended up in the United States.
I had no idea.
I lived
You could have come and visited us here.
That's true. Unfortunately, I didn't. I was actually, I was in Florida. I stayed with an amazing American family who happened to be Christian, that agreed to, have me, and I stayed with them for about 6 months. And yeah.
Good for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good for them. I will never forget the righteous Christians that saved so many people during the Holocaust.
Yep.
We owe them a debt of gratitude. So we will be right back with more of your incredible story, Muhammad. Don't leave. It's pretty fascinating. Thank you for sticking with us, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to Stand With Us on JLTV. I want to remind everybody out there that you're able to go to our website, standwithus.com, and order any of the many different kinds of materials that you see under resources, and say, I was watching JLTV and Roz promised me one booklet for free. And I would recommend this, The Israel Timeline. It's fantastic and goes through the history of the Jewish people and the state of Israel, just to be sure that we have our clear connection to the Jewish state. Back with you, MuhammadZoabi. You are such an interesting young man, been through a lot already, and now you're working for Stand With Us as a speaker in Israel, and also now he's on tour, going through the U.S. and speaking on college campuses and to young people about his story of diversity, of the tapestry of Israel, of what you've gone through. So is there anything else you would like to highlight about your life? And
many people around the world, especially when it comes to Israel, first of all, unfortunately, when Israel is mentioned, people immediately think about the conflict. People immediately think about hatred, think about divisions, and they, of course, think about our conflict with the Palestinians, but they seem to ignore what the state of Israel is today. And again, it's a place of diversity, freedom, equality, and you know, coming from a minority community in Israel, I can tell you that, first of all, I'm you know, living in the Middle East and witnessing what happens in neighboring countries such as Syria and Iraq and other countries, and Turkey, for example, that just recently shut down Kurdish offices, parliamentary offices, and it just reminds me of how grateful I am to be a minority living in Israel, where all people are respected, all people are equal, and diversity is encouraged. And I would love to remind people everywhere and all the time to just, when they talk about Israel, when they mention Israel, or when they think of Israel, or when they hear about Israel, just think of the other side of Israel that you're not seeing. And that's what I try to bring as an Israeli and as an Israeli of Arab origin. And I feel like, you know, people seem to ignore that, and I hope to, you know.
The diversity, the tapestry of people, that 20% of Israel's population is not Jewish, that Israel is a place of opportunity, not just this conflict place. So through everything that you've been through, this is the message that you would like to bring to people, that this is a place of opportunity and diversity.
Absolutely.
So now you work for Stand With Us. Tell us what you're doing.
So I'm a Stand With Us educator. I meet with different groups. I talk to different people, and again, it brings us back to the message that I try to give these people. You know, people come with a lot of questions. People are even I don't know how it's possible. Maybe I'm kind of ignorant because I live in Israel and it's just normal to me. But people are kind of surprised when they talk to someone from Israel who's not Jewish or does not fit their, you know, categorizes that they had, you know, or their stereotypes that they had of Israel. You know, people are actually, you know, in general are shocked to see that Israel is not as religious as they think. It's not as divided as they think. It's not as primitive as they thought it is. And they're shocked at the diversity. In fact, I once met a group of German men who came to Israel to, you know, understand the conflict more. And one of them said to me, you know, I can kind of tolerate the idea of an Israeli Muslim because Islam is a religion and it probably does exist in different countries. But I saw a black soldier today and I was really shocked. And I said to him, well, welcome to the real Israel. Yeah. That's the other face of Israel that, you know, you're not showed. And he was, you know, he was pretty fascinated. And it's kind of sad that people don't actually realize, you know, they don't know that.
There are a few black Jews in Israel, aren't there?
There are a lot of, you know, different types of Jews, different types of, you know, even within the Jewish community in Israel, even within the Jewish population, you know, there's so many different, there's a lot of diversity. There are, you know, black Jews, there are Middle Eastern Jews, there are European Jews. In fact, Middle Eastern Jews are the majority of Jews in Israel. They're about 50% of the population.
Or more now.
Or more. And it's funny when people talk about white colonizers, when they talk about Jews. And it's just funny because 50% of the Jewish population in Israel is not European Jewry. It's Middle Eastern Jewry. The children and the grandchildren of Jews who were expelled from Middle Eastern countries when the State of Israel was created back in 1948. That's another thing to...
That's another thing to emphasize, and
absolutely.
We have a booklet on that. We have Jewish refugees from the Middle East.
Absolutely.
You can ask for that for free as your book that you order from Stand With Us. That is a very important point.
Absolutely.
That is why we have over 50% Mizrahi Jews in Israel now. That's very interesting.
Add to that the 20% not Jewish population of Israel that is mostly Arab. That means that Israel is it's a native Middle Eastern country.
Yeah.
We're not colonizers. We're not you know, foreign to the Middle East. We're part of the Middle East.
Think of the definition of a colonizer. Now, you would have to have a country colonizing. So who was the country? The colonizers were colonizing on behalf of whom?
Absolutely.
On behalf of nobody, because it's the Jewish people and their history, and that's how the State of Israel was reborn in 1948. Well, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
I hope you'll join us again. Good luck with your tour. You are an amazing young man. Congratulations on all the way you teach about Israel. And go forward and be great and be safe.
Thank you.
And be safe. And we'll see you next time on JLTV.